if Faust was so bad, like laughably bad, unplayable, maybe I just wouldn't play Guilty Gear. I'm not gonna lie. I would actually. Are you some scrub who can't handle plus frames? Do you cry every night at the thought of Happy Chaos shooting you full screen? Do you think Woust loust, even though louse just Faust? Well, do I have the offer for you? Tell him, Lord Knight.
What?
Subscribe to the Beast Coast FGC channel today.
What's going on, everybody? LK here, once again with Lord ApologyMan. And we're going to be talking a little bit about Season 2. And specifically, a lot of people expect certain characters to get buffed, certain characters to get nerfed. But the question came up of, what if they do not buff our mains? Because Faust aside, a lot of people think Millia is not that great either. So how do you feel about this? What would you do?
As a long-time Arc System Works fighting game player, I have no expectations that the patch will ever go as I expect, because they have their own plans, which I always respect about Arxis. They're usually about, like, they have their own vision of, like, the game or whatever, even if that means buffing Johnny or Elfeld or whatever. And in this case, like Ram in the last patch, like, they balance the characters the way they want to. So as ridiculous as it sounds, like, you never know. Maybe Faust and Millia could get nerfed. I think if that happens, like, I would be obviously super bummed, but I like wouldn't put Faust up either, because they clearly don't want Faust to be like a top tier character, or maybe even Millia too, from just like how they were in past games. They're like, oh, we don't want this happening again. Like, I would be bummed, but I don't think I actually think like I would still play Faust, because it's like my favorite character in the game. I am a very character-driven person. If Faust was so bad, like laughably bad, unplayable, maybe I just wouldn't play Guilty Gear. I'm not gonna lie. I would actually need another character that is as cool and that I love as much as Faust for me to continue playing. I think that's kind of like where I stand. I'm just a very character-driven person.
Yeah, so to be honest, I think I would just do what I have to do already. You know, like, I'm kind of at the point where I've played a large amount of the cast, mostly for learning and experimenting stuff. So I don't think it'd be too hard for me to move around. I'm like half character driven, half results driven. So it's like, I do really want to perform. And in the case of Millia in particular, I know that like she necessarily won't be at her best right away. So it's like, oh yeah, you know, like I'd be willing to put in time to see like how she is and all that. So similarly in the next patch, I want to still do that and then just kind of see what happens. You know, you make a really good point about like, we don't know how they're gonna necessarily patch the game. I think that's a really good point. You really don't know what they're going to do, and we can't say for sure what type of theme they have for like the new patch, because the last patch they just gave everyone stuff, and some people are kind of mad about that. It's like, oh, you're buffing top tiers, but like the logic actually, if you look at it not from this character's good, they're giving more stuff, and like, oh, some people don't use these moves and they want everyone to use all the moves, then the changes make sense, because it previously in the previous patch just moves that people like didn't use, right? Like no one used Nago Clone before, and then they made it bigger. Now everyone uses Nago's Clone all the time, right? So there's little examples like that. So in my case, I would just still try, but like if it's not it, if the game tells me to do something else, I gotta do it. Like what can I really do, right?
I feel that, yeah. And you've been playing a lot of secondary characters. I've been seeing you lab up the Durag, you know, the Giovanna, and like even like the Gold Lewis at one point. Like you were learning a lot of characters, so you know I can see that. Yeah, honestly, I do think you're right about them giving like characters like a bunch of stuff, and it can seem a little ridiculous, but it gives the characters more fun things to do. As much as I hate Ramlethal, like the dash cancel I think is absurdly broken, but it honestly made her a much more interesting character. Like I'll see Ramlethals do the Rekka dash Rekka stuff, and it's cheap, but like it's more fun factor, you know. And I think the Ram players like really appreciate that. So as long as they keep that up, I think that's like a good like balance philosophy. Just increase the amount of fun. I think Faust, the Faust buff I really liked the most was when he has like an afro on his head, his own head. He can throw his head off and he'll have like an afro bomb bag. Like that's like a fun change. So I want to see a lot of that in the next patch for sure.
I definitely agree. Like that's why I don't think there's really a way we can know. Like we both played Arc Sys games for a while, so there've definitely been times where like they just really knock the knees out of character. You're like, wow, that came out of nowhere. And then like there's a character everyone's like, man, this is stupid. And they're like, fine. So at this point, I'm just way more open to just doing what I have to do. Millia is my favorite character in Guilty Gear, probably by like a lot. But like I think like I mean you probably feel the same with Faust too. Like I really tried really hard with this character for like a really long time, and people maybe this at this point like on this point I should say we're like a little different. We're like both Millia and Faust, people were kind of like these characters are bad from the start, but I was like, no guys, like you don't understand like how Millia can be, and like we should just give it time or whatever. So like I truly feel like I did my due diligence with the character for like a really long time, and like trying her out in all sorts of big events and stuff. So if I kind of have the feel of what they seem to want for her. I don't know, they could do something crazy next patch, we literally don't know, but I think I could probably figure out like within like a month or two like how I feel about her, and if I felt like she was the same or like overall worse for some reason, I would probably just play someone else that patch, just full stop.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I'm like at that point because I've also been playing Giovanna. Like I want to compromise. That was kind of my resolution this year. I was like, okay, you know, you can play your character because that's like what you love to do the most. But if it comes to like a really hard matchup, like you got to learn like the secondary. Playing a secondary character is something I've never done before, and it's like definitely new. And there's a lot of growing pains coming with it. But I don't think I can compromise with just being like, all right, you know what? I'm a happy chaos player, or like I'm a Leo player, because I just want to have fun. Practicing wouldn't be fun. Like I do care about my results a lot, but there's like a line, right? I value my enjoyment of the game a lot, and you know, if it isn't fun, I'm not gonna play it. There's a lot of fighting games that come out, like, but lately there's been quite a few, honestly, and there's a reason I like Guilty Gear. Like I enjoy playing Faust, I like playing my character, and I want to do that as long as possible. So if it doesn't work out, then like I'll just play something else. Like I'm fine. And this is for any other future fighting game too, right? Everyone's super hyped for Project L. Like if it comes out, it sucks. Like I'll live. Like I don't need to play it. Like I care about how much fun I have first and foremost. So that's the end of the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.